Hey guys, it's Isabel and today I'm going to be talking about Velvet by Temple West. Velvet is about this girl named Caitlin that is 17 years old and has recently lost her mom. This makes both of her parents dead, leaving Caitlin in a really weird position where she's lost and confused and overall depressed and sad. Trying to get through her depression, she has been shipped off to her aunt and uncle's house and her cousin who she has never met, and having to live with them for a year until she goes off to college. When a mysterious boy shows up at Caitlin's school that all the girls are giggling and blushing about because he is the hottest stuff that town has ever seen, Caitlin cannot help but be intrigued and comes to find out that he is Adrian, and comes to also find out later on that he is a vampire demon hybrid thing, but mainly a vampire. So this story is so much fun because it's delving into the world of vampires again, which I haven't been to since I finished the last Twilight book, which was in like 6th grade. So 4 or 5 years ago. It's been a while. I was nervous about getting back into the world, but West, her book sucked me in. It was so great and so unique and unlike any other vampire book I had ever read. There were similarities to Twilight, which she said that is part of the book because she was very much inspired by the frenzy of Twilight and what was going on, but wanting to create her own story from that. And so there were similarities that I saw, but I also saw such a uniqueness and difference between the two. Her characters are great. The love story is great. The character development and the plot line and the background of vampires, the history, everything works so well together. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend you go out and pick up Velvet by Temple West. This is what it looks like if you didn't kind of see before. It is great, and I promise you, you will not be let down by this book. It's a book that I'm definitely going to recommend to so many people because they need to read this book and experience this story. It is great, and the characters are just amazing. What I love too, and why I want people to read it, is it's not your average young adult fantasy or paranormal story where there is a ton of drama and everything is centered around that fantasy element. Temple West focused on the characters and who they were as people and the relationships they were going to have. This was, hey, I'm a vampire, but I'm gonna take you sledding, and here's about me and my life, and here's the things I like to do, and joking around with each other, and hanging out, driving to and from school, and actually going through real fights and friendships and relationships. This is some of the best characters and character development and relationship between characters that I have read in a very long time. That is it for the non-spoilers. We're going to move on and discuss deeper and delve into the book. If you haven't read it yet, I'm going to ask you to leave right now. I'd hate for you to be spoiled because I want you to experience this book for what it really is, and from beginning to end, just like I did without knowing anything. I hate being spoiled, so I'd hate for you to be spoiled. Okay, I don't even know where to start with talking about this. And I've said this before already, but honestly, I think my favorite part of it was the characters and the relationship between characters, especially between Adrian and Caitlin. That was done so beautifully and so well because she took a relationship that formed because of the supernatural essence of what was going on, and she sprung that into something where they fell in love with each other for who that person was and what they had gone through and who they were as people, their interests, their likes, the way they acted, the way he laughed, his nerdiness, things like that. And I loved that about it. It didn't feel like I was reading a vampire book. It felt like I was reading a love story. And that is what Temple, I think, in the end is, while also being a vampire supernatural book. Adrian for a minute. He is so cute, and I love him because he's so different. Because Adrian isn't, as Temple has actually said before in interviews that I've watched, not this overly powered, macho, dark kind of boy. Like, he has that essence to him because he is a vampire, but that's not really Adrian's personality. And I like that she didn't go sort of the stereotype way with a vampire and who he could be. I like that she made him his own character who was having to deal with the fact that he was a vampire. Caitlin is such a great character, and I loved her from the beginning because I felt sort of like her in a way when she's going through that depression of losing her parents. And I haven't lost my parents, but the depression and the anger that was held inside there, I can relate to when it comes to those sort of like teenage reactions and that feeling of sort of wanting to block things out and not really talk to people and getting very annoyed quickly with question after question and things that feel like interviews and stuff that Caitlin was describing and experiencing from the world and her outside family about what was going on at that time for her. And I could relate to that because, you know, I think everyone at some point feels that, whether you can be depressed about something or just sad about something. It doesn't have to be grand or like you're a depressed person or anything. I think everyone just can relate to that aspect of like needing to be left alone. The Victoria's Secret scene where they're dragging her in and they're making her try on the lingerie and they actually buy it for her in the end. Because if people were to drag me into that setting and be like, yeah, go try it on and we'll buy it and your boyfriend and all that, I'd be like, no, I am backing out of there and I'm running to Barnes & Noble. You are not getting me in there. Caitlin was just, she was fun because she was different, and I loved, okay, can we just talk about her love for fashion and wanting to be a designer and that connection that Temple made to like Project Runway and that she loves that and watches that. I love Project Runway. That is my favorite show and my family and I all watch it together. So in the beginning when the first line is, by the power of Tim Gunn's like ties and suits, I like banish you or something like that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna love this book just because you said Tim Gunn. That's what I loved too. This book was so fun to read. It was funny and entertaining. There was so much character development and especially between Adrian and Caitlin and their relationship. The scene where they go sledding and they have a lunch and she comes over to the house, and the trips in the truck when they go shopping, and just there were so many elements to it of an actual real life relationship and things that they did together, like having picnics and the sledding again, and they were just, it was a fun story to read. I loved how fast paced this book was. It is so quick and easy to read, and I felt like that really showed not only when he tells her he's a vampire, because that was only like what, chapter 5, 8, and then she really showed that at the end where Tommy comes and he is the plumber, and then the lust thing started happening and all that was going down, and it was just very like fast. And then when Adrian burst in, I was like, oh crud. The bathtub shower scene was dramatic and emotional, especially when she just starts going crazy. It was like sweet, and you're like, okay, is this gonna turn into like a kissing thing, or are we just gonna kind of be like awkward and then fight? And we sort of became awkward and had a fight when she goes crazy and she storms out the bathroom and she's all upset and she's yelling about things and how people shouldn't have to deal with this and what is her life, and he storms in and he's like pacing. He's like, okay, fine, you know what, this is ridiculous, we're gonna talk about this right now. I'm in love with you, I've been in love with you, you think it's hard, it's been hard on me, yada yada yada. And they're fighting, and she's like, well, why don't you just freaking kiss me, like, do you want to kiss me? And he screams, fine. And he goes like chase after. He goes walk to her to kiss her, and she starts running around the room and jumps over the bed to get away, and she's like, no, you can't kiss me anymore, my lips are off limits. It was so clever because she took a scene that was very dramatic. It could have been like, oh, they kissed, saw that coming, and she made it so humorous and funny, and it went from being very like riled up and dramatic to being hilarious the next second. When Lucien is gone and they had just gotten him back, it was so surprising and shocking, and it just sort of threw a curveball at me, and I was like, great, I hope he's okay, because I love the little guy. That is my review of Velvet by Temple West. I, again, love this book so much and enjoyed every minute of it. I'm so excited for the next book to come out, and I'm so excited that this is a series that I'll get to be a part of from beginning to end, following it and waiting for the book. I'm so excited about it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all next time. Remember to like and subscribe. Bye!